Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome on into the Space Cowboy Show. I'm your host, Ricardo. Welcome on in. We got another Dallas Cowboys victory in the books. The Cowboys are the epitome of 500. 2-1. You get a big win over the Jets. Not saying that the Jets are particularly a great team, but I have gone on record, and I did say that the record didn't really show you how this team actually is. The Jets should have been 2-2 going into this game. They're not. And honestly, I understand that the score ended 37-22, but this was really a game where the Cowboys were in control for the large majority of the game. There was no instances where I felt nervous about this game, especially when the end of the half happened the way it did. It felt like the Cowboys were in cruise control and we were on our way to 2-1. And this is huge. This is the first time the Dallas Cowboys have beaten the Jets in New Jersey since 2003. It's very rare when we play the Jets, so it's great to have that win finally out there against them. And at the same time, there was a lot of positives to take away from this, and we're starting to really, there's this buy-in that we're seeing from the players, the coaches, you name it. And whether it pays off this year or going forward, it really feels like the Cowboys finally have a coach that knows what he's doing, is getting the respect of his players, and is able to hold people accountable. It's like we're finally getting what we've been wanting here in Dallas. Now, before we get fully into today's recap, if you haven't done so already, please, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button. It's free and easy to do, helps the channel out. And then also subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell. And if you haven't done so, by all means, you can check out the other network shows here on Kretschman Media on the home tab. And if you want to support the channel further, please hit that join button and you can support the channel there. And then if you're on Twitter/X, please hit the like button, share this with a friend or family member that loves the Cowboys, and hit the follow. And if you want to follow on the YouTube page, you can do that on the link. So let's go ahead and let's start in how this offense really continues to look electric. The Dallas Cowboys had one hell of a showing offensively, and it was the first time I think the Cowboys ever have done this, where in the first half, they had a 100-yard rusher and a 100-yard receiver. That is bonkers. Like, we're talking about guys like Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Drew Pearson, Tony Dorsett. No one's done that. No one until now. And this is fantastic. And looking at the stat sheet, I want to give a couple shout outs. First, Ryan Flournoy, man. I am so pumped he finally had this huge game because he deserved it, man. He really showed what he can be. I understand it's a single game and, you want to see things over a period of time. But the fact that he was able to do what he did today, given the circumstances, outstanding. I have to give a shout out to Clayton Adams and this offensive line. They did a fantastic job being down 4 starters and being able to get that many rushing yards and keeping Dak Prescott upright to throw 4 touchdown passes. I need to give a round of applause over to you, because that is exactly what we've been wanting. We've been wanting a coaching staff that no matter who is out there, they play up to the competition that's across from them, and we can succeed. We don't have to worry about if one dude goes out, the whole thing falls apart. And it also shows that the game out in Chicago was an anomaly, because if we really think about it, the Dallas Cowboys have scored 20, 37, or excuse me, 40, 14, 40 again, and 37 points this season. Now, I don't know what's going on. I believe the Eagles are losing to Denver. Not that that matters per se, but I'm just checking that as we're doing this live, and I believe the Eagles game is just about to wrap up. Okay, yes. So they're on the Denver 29-yard line with 3 seconds left, so they're probably going to lose their first game of the season. Now, just because we beat the Jets doesn't necessarily mean that this team's going to the championship, anything like that. I think one of the things, if you are a Cowboys fan, is you look at this game and you say to yourself, okay, we typically don't play well when we go over to New York or New Jersey in this case against the Jets, but you won, which is cool. The other thing too is that not only did you go out and win, you did it in convincing fashion. The score will tell you otherwise, but the fact is the Cowboys controlled this game from start to finish, I would argue. And the Jets couldn't get anything going offensively. Your defense really held them in check. I believe you had 5-6 sacks in this game. You had a crucial turnover, which led to points, that 90-yard drive towards the end of the half. Fantastic stuff that we're seeing here. And again, you could say it's just the Jets. If we go out into Carolina and we say, oh, it's just the Panthers, that's one thing. But the key thing is that you're not playing down to your competition, and you're doing it given how many injuries you have, which is scary to say, like, okay, when Lamb comes back, can you imagine what this offense is going to look like? So I got to give a shout out to Brian Schottenheimer, man. This team, they're starting to put stuff together. But again, we need to see this throughout the month of October. I didn't think you were going to win this game against the Jets, to be honest with you, but you did. Now you got Carolina, Washington, and Denver. And I believe Denver they officially got the final. Yeah, Denver just won. And you're still third in the division, is what it is. But, you had 416 total yards of offense. You were 6 for 13 on third down. You didn't have to go for it on fourth down. You were 3 of 4 in the red zone, which was huge. You didn't dominate time of possession, but to be honest with you, the Cowboys felt like they were in control, and it's a bit deceiving, that time of possession. But let's go to the box score, and we're going to do some individual shout-outs for some of these players. Now, when we talk about some of the game balls that we're going to give out, the first I got to give a game ball to is Dak Prescott. 18 for 29, 237 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 127.4 pass rating. He only got sacked the one time. But at the end of the day, that sack, it was kind of just like, he kind of went down, if I remember correctly. Now, Justin Fields, 32 for 46, 283, 2 passing touchdowns. He got sacked 5 times and had 100 passer rating. But it really didn't feel like, it felt like a hollow game. Everyone wants to talk about how Dak's like a garbage time quarterback. Remember when that was the case? I mean, for God's sake, you should say the same thing about Justin Fields, but we're not here to talk about Justin Fields. We're here to talk about our players. So I got to give a game ball to Dak Prescott. He's playing out of his mind, led the league. I believe he still leads the league in passing, 4 touchdown games. So that puts his total now to 10, which I don't think that leads the league. But it's kind of crazy when we really think about it, that the narrative around Dak Prescott has changed nationally. I think the fact that we're having people actually give Dak Prescott his flowers, given the fact that he's now playing great football, or he's been playing great football, I should specify, but he's playing it at a level that we've only seen maybe one time, and that was in 2020. You could say 2023, but 2020 Dak Prescott was on a whole nother level. And we're kind of seeing that come back. He's not afraid to run. He's not afraid to throw the ball away. Those are the things that I really like to see with Dak. And I would argue that he is so far the MVP of this season. He is the main reason, aside from one game, that being in Chicago, where the Cowboys have been in every single game and have won every single game, or have had a chance to win. So I believe that Dak needs to get his flowers more so, and we're starting to see that with that. And I want to thank you, NWB, the 4 ties for first. So Dak Prescott is playing impeccable, leads the league in passing, leads the tied for touchdown passes thrown. You got to give your flowers off to Dak. And also, he passed Tony Romo in the win-loss category. Whether you want to count it or not, the fact is that that's something that people will be talking about. Let's move over to the rushing game. Huge shout out to Javonte Williams, 16 carries, 135 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had that 66-yard touchdown, or 66-yard run, which should have been a touchdown, but it is what it is. The Cowboys able to double dip. Well, I would have argued they could have triple dipped if they didn't go 3 and out in the beginning of the second half, but it is what it is. The Cowboys were able to get exactly what they needed to get some more points, make it harder on the Jets to get back into this game. He did a fantastic job. And he should, it looked like he was kind of getting gassed at some points, but it is what it is. I do have to talk about Jadon Blue, though. He had the 4 carries for 7 yards. Didn't look impressive. He had the 1 run for 6. I'm not going to be super harsh on him because it's the first game he's out there as a rookie. But at the same time, we just want to see how that does moving forward, because I feel like there are moments where I think Blue can really shine. But right now, it doesn't look like it as of this point in time. But again, when you have a guy like Javonte Williams who's just churning out yardage for you to continue converting first downs, for you to continue getting into third down and manageables, that's what you want. Now, for me, my player of the game, I'm not including Dak because you can be like, yeah, Ryan Flournoy, 6 catches, 114 yards, no touchdowns, but the 46-yard pass from Dak to Flournoy was beautiful. I thought he did an impeccable job in this game, and it really shows that when Tolbert leaves, because he's a free agent this year, I think Flournoy can pick up the slack there. You still have Jonathan Mingo that still has to be reintegrated into the offense. You still have CeeDee Lamb that's going to be coming back at some point. But the fact of the matter is that the Dallas Cowboys just find ways to get guys the ball, and they show up and show up. There's buy-in. There's no quit in what these guys are trying to do. They're still trying to win. And I got to give Shoddy this, as a little tangent before we get to the defense. Shoddy did not take his foot off the gas pedal in this game, and I admire that. Yes, there were moments where execution wasn't there and the play calling was a bit spotty to begin the third quarter, but the fact that they were still able to continue to press, continue to be like, hey, we need to score, that's what I want to see. Not this, all right, guys, we're up 30-6, that's it. Well, you went into the half 23-3. But my point being is that they didn't get complacent. The only blemish on the special teams, because I wanted to highlight this, was the Aubrey missed extra point, which was just the doink off the upright. But, that's pretty much it. I'm not expecting him to be perfect. Now, defensively, man, you had Jack Sanborn get hurt, who's been very disappointing this year. But, man, Shamar James, Maris Leafau and company, these young dudes, really showing up. I understand that it's not the greatest sample size because it's only like 1 game and against a team like the Jets where they kind of started tripping over themselves in this game, but they played very well. Got to give a shout out to Leafau, man, punching that ball out in a crucial situation where the Jets are driving to score some points. You have Sam Williams recover it. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't say more than enough about that. And, Shamar James, he led the way for you tackling, and he looked very solid for you. He really did. Again, the buy-in from these young guys is exactly what you want to see. And it really feels like, I think what really made this game way better for the Cowboys was they were getting home with the pressures. You had 5 sacks. James Houston, man, giving him more snaps. We're seeing that. It's resulting in more production with a 1.5 sack a game. Got to give a shout out also to Sam Williams, Osa Odigizua, and Kenny Clark. And Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler, man, had himself a day. I had to double check. He had 5 quarterback hits. Every time he would be coming off the edge, and Justin Fields had to just scramble to either get it away or just pray to God that, nothing crazy happened. That is exactly what we've been wanting to see all season long, is this defensive line finally getting pressure. And we're seeing that. Again, we need to see this moving forward. That's what's important. It's cool that this happened. And I think that as fans, we need to recognize, hey, this is great, but we need to see this moving forward consistently. If we don't, that's when we're going to have a problem. So that's just how I'm looking at it. The other thing I wanted to see, there was no interceptions in this game for the Cowboys or the Jets. I was going to say that I believe the broadcast pointed this out because I talked about this in the previous show that they didn't have an interception, but they didn't have a turnover. Like the Jets defense has not generated a turnover this season, and they still haven't. So there's that. And then, yeah, like it's just, I'm like, whoa, like, okay, we're doing well here. Now, looking at the team stats, I kind of mentioned this earlier. The Jets were 7 for 16 on third down. We were 6 for 13. I felt like you could have done a better job of getting these guys off the field on third down. But again, a lot of the third down conversions happened in the second half. Say what you will about that. You know, it's even crazier. The Cowboys had only 59 total plays of offense. They had 416 total yards. The Jets had 73 total plays of offense, and they still didn't outgain the Cowboys. And you look at the passing, 234. Well, it was pretty much even, except Dak was more efficient when it came to, like, when you have Justin Fields throwing the ball 46 times a game. And this is kind of what I will say is that the fact is, like, when Dak has been throwing the ball that many yards, like, you're seeing more yardage and more efficiency compared to what we saw with Justin Fields. You outgained them. You averaged 6.2 yards per carry. You did have 11 penalties in this game, and some of them I was like, I don't really think that should be a penalty, but others I was like, yeah, that's not good. But all around, a fantastic game by these Cowboys. You're 2-1. And I believe, I'm not sure, let's actually take a look at Tankathon like we do every single week. So the Dallas Cowboys, with their win, moved to 2-1. They're still at the 12th spot. Some of these teams are still yet to play. Green Bay is still at 22. So you moved up, I believe, from 11 to 12. And we got to take a look to see who still plays today as well. Give me 1 second. So Commanders and Chargers are playing. That's a game you want to keep an eye out. The Saints won against the Really? I didn't watch the Saints and Giants game, but the Giants lost again, which is wow. Oh well. But yeah, man. The one thing you want to keep an eye out on is the Denver Broncos. This is a team that we're going to have to go on the road to go against. This is Sean Payton's Broncos as well, and you haven't won in Denver in a long time. We'll talk about that down the road. I'm not trying to get too ahead of myself, but these next 3 games are really going to define the Dallas Cowboys season. You now are 2-1. You need to go and take care of business versus the Panthers, get to 3-2-1. And then that sets up a huge showdown for you against the Commanders, because really, if you take care of business versus the Commanders, there is a high likelihood that those wins will help you down the road. And again, had the Cowboys had beaten the Packers instead of taking the tie, we're talking about a football team that's 4-2, we're talking about a team. No, we would be talking about a team that's 3-2. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And they're right on pace with what I expected them to do. I believe I had actually picked them to beat the Jets. I could be wrong. I got to go back and look because it's been a while since I posted, like about a month or two ago. But the fact of the matter is the Cowboys are still on track for what I expected them to be so far this year. And so that's why I'm not super high. I'm not super low, but I'm going to point out the positives and the negatives. The negatives, I felt like the defense needed to tighten up more in that third and fourth quarter. It really felt like that, okay, it was like whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't want to be seeing that. I really don't want to be seeing situations where you're giving these teams this like lackadaisical effort, even though you're up multiple points. No, we need to keep going full pedal to the metal. So we could talk about how the Cowboys gave up 22 points this game. I completely understand that it was a game that was out of reach for the Jets, but still, you got to put more effort. So I'm going to look at some of your guys' comments, and then we'll go further from there. Were the Jets missing 4 starters on O-line? I don't think they were. I remember we had several starters out back in 2019, and we lost 24-22. And that's a fantastic point, Scotty. And I'm not sure if you were in when I was saying that, which is that when it comes to having a coaching staff that understands the players that you have and putting them in the best positions to win and being able to scheme up things to make things easier for both sides of the ball, that's exactly what we saw. Brian Schottenheimer has put together a coaching staff, and we're starting to see it come to fruition, and we're actually seeing it in real time where players are buying in. They aren't afraid to take the criticism or not like be like, I'm not into it. Like kind of like what we saw with Garrett and McCarthy. Kind of felt like, it was over when it was over, but we're seeing a consistent theme with this team. They want to run the football. They love using play action. It really is looking good. We're 5 weeks in or 5 games in. Obviously we're 5 weeks in, but you know what I mean? We're 5 games in now. And we're consistently seeing the Cowboys wanting to do these things on a football field. And I really feel good about the long-term implications of this team. It looks like offensively, you have what it takes. Defensively, you need to do more work. But if this continues and you continue to develop this system, I think you're going to be in a good spot. Because if you guys don't remember, back in 2023, the Cowboys started off slow. They were 3-2 after coming off that huge embarrassing loss to the who was it? The 49ers. And they had to go on Monday Night Football, and you really started to see that offense get going. That's why I tell people all the time that the season doesn't end or you don't pick who's going to win the Super Bowl in September because things can change. We just saw the Eagles lose to the Broncos. Maybe the Broncos are a better team than we thought. There are teams that have started off worse. So the other thing too is that remember, if you're someone that believes that the Cowboys were going to go 9-8 or 10-7 like myself, you have to expect you're going to drop some games. And they're about what I expected so far. A team that's just slightly above 500, even though you are 500. My point is that you are exactly where you thought. I thought you were going to go 2-2 in the first 4 games. You went 1-2-1. I had a conversation with some friends behind the scenes, and I even left some comments. I thought you were going to go 2-2 in this stretch because I thought you were going to lose to the Jets just because of recent history and what we've seen, and the Broncos. If you can somehow manage to go 3-1 or even, God forbid, 4-0 in this stretch, I think we're having a different talk. We're having a different conversation about the Dallas Cowboys. But again, we're going to take this one game at a time. So there's that. And yes, Scotty, I did actually point this out at the beginning of the show. This is the first time we've beaten the Jets at home since 2003. Yep, and it was 17-6. Yep, I definitely mentioned that at the beginning of the show. And NWB, the MVP is undeniable so far. And it is, Dak Prescott has been playing fantastic football. And I guess I could clip this for this particular segment. I know I talked about Dak Prescott and giving him his flowers, and a lot of fans, Cowboys fans, and other NFL fans are skeptical because of the postseason stuff. But you can't deny he's playing fantastic football right now. He's conducting an offense that has scored a lot of points so far this year. And if his defense, well, if we're really looking at it for what it is, Cowboys should be 4-1 by now. If Lamb doesn't drop the ball, if Miles Sanders doesn't fumble, if we get a stop on defense in the Packers game, we're talking about a 4-1 football club, ladies and gentlemen. And I did talk about in the video about Brian Schottenheimer and how he fares as a first-time head coach and how they fared here in Dallas. We typically see on, statistically that head coaches typically improve your win total by 2 wins in their first season. Now, again, that's what stats show. So if that is to be true, the Cowboys would need to go at this point. They would need to go, the tie kind of throws it off. So you would probably need to go 9-7-1 for that to ring true. But it is what it is. And so I really think that at the end of the day, Dallas Cowboys, you just got to go out there, take care of business against the Panthers. And it is what it is. I'm not going to, again, be super high, super low. We're kind of still going through the motions of this season. Again, it's very early, but you take care of business. I didn't think you were going to beat the Jets, but you did. Cool. Let's see. The Eagles just lost and the Chargers just scored 7. Let me take a look. All right, that's some good stuff. That's cool. I'm just trying to make sure. Yeah, we beat a horrible team. Yeah, Stevie. It is what it is. I mean, you should be beating these bad teams, but again, I'm not gonna. Oh, stop! He beat a trash team. Okay, cool. Dallas aren't making the playoffs. Okay. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs earlier. I thought that they would squeak in at best. That's your opinion. That's okay. I mean, what am I supposed to just be like? Oh well, I'm gonna negate everything they've done because they've beaten a bad team. I think that's ignorant take to say the least. Because at the end of the day, if you win a game, you win a game, and you have to talk about what you saw on the football field. Just my opinion. But yeah, so Cowboys, depending on what happens in the game against the Commanders and Chargers, could end up being in second place after this week. You had the Eagles lose again. It's any given Sunday, man, and you got to just show up and show it every single day. So for the Cowboys, you are 1-2 on the road. You're 1-0-1 at home. I believe they go on the road to play Carolina next. I could be wrong. Let's just double check that before we close out today's show. Yes. So they're going to be going on the road to take on the Panthers next week on another 1 o'clock game. And then they have some 4 o'clock games coming up against the Commanders and the Broncos. So that's something to keep in mind. So, yeah, guys, Cowboys win 37-22. Good showing. We just got to keep this up. That's all I could say. Again, we'll see if they can continue to stack wins. This was an AFC team, so, I would hope that you can start stacking wins against guys that are in your conference. So that way that helps you down in the long term. So again, it's on the next week, and we'll talk about that in the next live stream when we talk about the preview for the Carolina Panthers game, because the Panthers don't look good at all. You should be able to beat them. But with that, I am signing off. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to by hitting that join button. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.